All right, let's bring him in. He was at Soldier Field yesterday watching the San Francisco 49ers, Chicago Bears. John Dickinson. JD, what's up, my man?
Jay.
What's going on, fellas? Man, surprise, surprise. After that one, a whole lot going on.
Yeah.
And it's only week one. Here we go.
No doubt about it. Let's put Trey Lance to the side for a minute. Because to me, that was the story. Nobody really gave the Chicago Bears a chance to win that game. I didn't hear anybody say, be careful, the Bears are dangerous. So I know it's only one game, but how kind of troubling would it be if you're a 49er fan and that's the one you lose?
It's extremely troubling. I think you could make the case that it's top five, or bottom five, in terms of Kyle Shanahan losses during his tenure. If you just start running through meaningful games, I think this could be in the top five. But how do you lose a game to a team that projects to be, and look, maybe the Bears wind up being better than we thought they were. But at this point, how do you lose a game where you outgain them 331 to 204 and you have a 10-0 lead late into the third quarter? Well, it's missed opportunities. And it's penalties, 12 for 99, but it's not only the 12, but it's the specific penalties. It's the Greenlaw face mask on third down when it's 10-0, and it extends a drive where the Niner defense was off the field, and then the Bears score a touchdown. It's the defensive hold when it's 10-7, and then the personal foul on top of that when the defense, again, would have been off the field. Those are two stops where the Niners would have got the ball back with no points being scored. And then a couple of defensive breakdowns follow for touchdowns, and now you're down. And now Trey Lance has to go save it for you in a similar fashion to the way maybe Jimmy Garoppolo had to save a few games for the Niners over the years.
Jay, Steiny has my full undivided attention, but you're here in the studio. Your face is to the left of me at that mic because we were talking about, hey, the Bears, we're told they're awful, but, they're an NFL football team. I don't know where to start, but I'm going to start with Trey Lance, and I'm not blaming him. I felt like he could have played better. The missed throw to Croft, I was telling Steiny and the listeners, you don't get plays like that back in 60 minutes. You can overcome it, but Jay, there's Kyler Murray type of running, and I'm not saying I want Trey to be him to where you run and you get out of bounds and you kind of stay out of harm's way, but last year we saw Trey get hurt at Arizona. That play at the goal line, he ran 13 times, Jay, and every time I was like, that's too much contact for my starting quarterback. My God, what's going on? What did you make of the 13 runs from Trey Lance? Because to me, Jay, it was too much contact.
Yeah, I found it stunning. Honestly, as stunning as Deebo Samuel's 8 carries. We played that game. Right. Is it going to be Deebo the wide back, and how much? And is it going to be around 50 carries? And, well, they did it by necessity at the end of the year. And I think Elijah Mitchell going down was some of the added Trey Lance and Deebo. Some of it probably the elements as well. But I found it to be stunning. And, look, I'm not trying to come down Trey Lance's road either. And I know, Steiny, you said set it aside. But when you look at his overall line, it's kind of meh. He did have some great throws. I mean, but I think the elements dictated that maybe you don't throw it as much. I mean, he hits the 44-yarder to Jennings, the 31-yarder to Ayuk, but he, after the game, acknowledged the miss to Croft, which is a touchdown, so 7 points in missed opportunities there. That came after that came a sack that he took, which took the 49ers out of field goal range, cost him 3 points, and then he hits Ayuk on a nice ball. They should probably score there, but Deebo gets the ball punched out for the turnover on that first series. Those first two series, guys, 6 to 14 points that the Niners just didn't get at all in a game that you wind up losing by 9. It's tough, but I was surprised. Look, I said it to you guys throughout the summer. I didn't think they were going to run it with him as much, but then when I got to training camp and I was watching him practice every day, it looked like they were going to run him a hell of a lot more than I would have originally anticipated. I think they need to be in more of a traditional offense with the running attack, an offshoot of that, a special, not something that is a go-to, something or essential. You want that to me to be something that's extra. You're asking for trouble, but again, I'll say this to wrap it up quickly. maybe the elements had something to do with just keeping the ball in his hands without having it, have to change hands too often.
John Dickinson joining us on 95.7 The Game. He was at Soldier Field yesterday. Let me ask you this. Do you believe Kyle Shanahan, not the fans, do you believe Kyle Shanahan believes he can win the Super Bowl with Trey Lance?
I think he does.
Okay,
but
that's arrogance.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, it
but
is.
I think he does. I think he does, guys, under the context of he's going to have to get better. He's going to have to get better. He's going to over the course of the season, in season, and whether that's hitting some of the throws that he missed in addition to hitting the throws that he made, because he did, and I laid out 3-4. I thought the 3rd and 5 throw before, picks up a first down, sticks a ball in there right before the interception. That was a nice throw. He had another one like that to keep the chains moving, but the consistency, the key, the playing like a poised veteran is you make all the good plays, but then you have to not throw the interception when you're down 13-10. That's reality, and he has to be held. We can say he's a young player, and all of that. But if this team expects to win the Super Bowl, and I do believe Kyle Shanahan thinks it's possible with Trey Lance at quarterback, but if you believe that, then he can't immediately, once you go down and the pressure is really on, and now you got to have somebody go make a play for you, throw a pick. You can't have it.
That's interesting. So you can't have it from a quarterback who didn't play the year before he was drafted, didn't go to a big college, only started 2 games, but you're expecting him not to make big mistakes. All right.
JD.
I mean, are you hearing kind of what I think is an incongruity?
Yeah.
That's all.
I do. No, absolutely.
If Trey Lance is the quarterback this year and the 49ers win the Super Bowl or go to the Super Bowl,
he's a hero.
Then he's done something that is like very, very, very few other quarterbacks have ever done in the history of football.
But guys, wouldn't Steiny winning with Garoppolo just as be that satisfying? Like, I get that, but that's just too big of an ask for me to go away from Jimmy. But I got to ask you this, JD.
Well,
we had go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Goo.
We had Low on earlier, and the news of Mitchell being out for 2 months to me is devastating. Steiny said something to me like, I thought this running back room was deep. You sent Trey Sermon home. Ty Davis Price and Gray didn't even dress. I know Gray's a receiver. My question to you is, do you expect the Niners to bring somebody in to fill the void of, I told Steiny, their best running back not being available?
I think they'll bring somebody in, but the person they bring in is going to be behind Wilson and Mason and Ty Davis Price on the depth chart. I mean, they have to bring somebody in because Mitchell's going to be out for 2+ months now, according to the report. And so everybody moves up a slot. And now it's Wilson, and you're going to have to go to Mason, and you're going to have Ty Davis Price active on game day, and you're going to have to get somebody else just as a depth option. Oh, you still got Deebo Samuel, who they showed yesterday is apparently still going to be more of a running back than a wide receiver. So, I mean, maybe they just keep deploying that, but it works in conjunction with the conversation we were just having, guys, about can you win the Super Bowl with Trey Lance? Does Kyle Shanahan believe you can win the Super Bowl with Trey Lance? A big part of the reason why I think Kyle believes that, Steiny and Goo, is because the rest of this team was supposed to be so good and so buttoned up that they could do it without asking Trey to have to do a lot, game in and game out. And I think what we're finding is already that maybe the wheels are coming off of that a little bit. Maybe he's shown week 1 can get better, can improve, that he's not quite yet capable of, when the chips are down, even against a bad team on the road, he can lead that answering touchdown drive. I know you guys don't want to play this game, and I'm not saying that Trey Lance played poorly enough to not be the starting quarterback for the 49ers week 2, but I do want to ask you guys this question, and maybe you've talked about it already. How many times did Jimmy Garoppolo, in a game like yesterday, when the Niners got down 13-10, even if it was partly his fault that they got down 13-10, lead them on a drive to tie a game, go right back ahead in a game in the fourth quarter, especially against a bad team? Especially, he may not have always done it in the playoffs or in the Super Bowl, But I'm telling you, the thought crossed my mind against the Bears. Jimmy Garoppolo probably goes down and leads them to a win.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Here's where I'm on JD is to me when a team loses, it's always a lot of reasons. Here's the thing that I find astounding because we haven't talked a lot about it. This 49er defense, this vaunted 49er defense, supposed to be dominant, one of the best in the NFL, they just gave up 3 touchdowns to the Chicago Bears in the last 20 minutes of a game with Justin Fields at quarterback playing in a monsoon. Like, come on. Broken plays or not. Please respond.
It's blown coverages, 1. 2, I think they got tired as the game went on, and I think you do see this happen from time to time early in the season when guys aren't playing a lot in the preseason, that they don't have necessarily the stamina to get through a whole game. You need a little bit more rest than maybe you need as the season goes on and you get more used to playing full games like that. But here's the thing, and I said to you, I think right before halftime, Steiny, I may have texted you. I said, hey, I think the Bears have found a little something with Fields escaping and using his legs to with him in the running game, and they got Herbert, the running back, going a little bit right before halftime. And what we've seen is mobile quarterbacks over the years can mitigate the pass rush and make some broken plays. And that broken play to Pettis, flipped the game with his escapability. Then you get a blown coverage. But here's the thing, Steiny, and this is all related. None of it happens without the Greenlaw face mask the defensive hold on 3rd down. Otherwise, they get off the field. The Bears don't have any points in either situation.
Jay, let me get something off my chest, man, about yesterday. Okay, the Bears are sitting on the Niners schedule, who, again, we know what the expectations were for months. You, Steiny, you and I talked about this was going to be a layup. What I'm tired of hearing about is all the other games that took place in the NFL as if that's cologne and an excuse on why the Niners lost to the Bears. I don't care what happened in other locales, and I know what people are talking about, but I'm worried about what the Niners did and what they didn't do. And Kyle Shanahan didn't have his team ready. I don't care what Green Bay did. I don't care what Dallas didn't do. That don't make the debacle which took place in the monsoon yesterday, blowing a 10-point lead, that doesn't make it any better. Am I wrong for that?
Not at all. It really is an unacceptable loss. I mean, and you can say, Steiny, I can already hear you. Well, how can you, every game's a game, and you come on and you yell about unacceptable this and unacceptable. It's a horrible loss.
No doubt.
It's a horrible loss. I think it's a top 5 worst loss in the Shanahan era, because really the 17-year and the 18-year, they didn't play any meaningful games really worthy of being counted. And so the 19-year, they didn't really have maybe that loss to Atlanta. In the 19-year, they had some in 20, but maybe with Jimmy Garoppolo was out a good chunk of that year toward the end, so none of those games were all that bad. I mean, it might be a couple of games at the beginning of last year that would fall into that category. But with the expectations that this team has, and maybe the Bears are better. Maybe the Bears are better. Yeah. Guys, maybe they are. But you know what? That still going into yesterday was the easiest game on their schedule. It was the easy, with maybe the exception of the next game on their schedule, the home game against Seattle. And I'm with you, Goo. I don't think it matters what anybody else did. I don't think it matters that the whole division's probably going to be 0-1 after tonight. It doesn't take any of the stink off of what the Niners did yesterday and how they played. You can win ugly. You can win ugly. The Niners win ugly all the time. You can't lose that game, point blank.
JD, great stuff, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Really appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
You got it, fellas.
All right, that's John Dickinson.